Will your social life suffer after you've quit drinking alcohol? I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Your social life is another thing that's completely under your control, right? You're a full-grown human being, and you have to ask yourself, will your social life suffer when you quit drinking alcohol? And you're the only person that can answer this. As far as I'm concerned, if you try and live the same life that you were living before, if you try and pursue the same social life that you were pursuing before, then if that social life used to revolve around alcohol, then you're going to have problems, right? It's something that you have to sort of figure out in your own mind. Like for instance, my social life before stopping drinking alcohol was going to the pub, watching matches, but going to the pub. That was the basic thing. I used to love going to the pub, and I got into the rituals of going to the pub. As soon as I, would stop drinking at night, or as soon as I stopped working in the evening, the rituals would start to kick in, the habit would start to kick in, and I'd want to go to the pub. And sometimes I didn't, but I still wanted to go. On the nights that I did go to the pub, I'd start out drinking 2 or 3 pints, 4 pints, and then, graduate on to 5 pints, 6 pints, that kind of thing. And, some nights you just stay in the pub until the closing time and bugger counting anything, You'd know sort of roughly how much alcohol was consumed by the lack of money in your pocket or your bank account. In Ireland it was sort of you had to pay for each round as they came up. I'm sure they had tabs in certain bars and you could get a tab. I never asked for a tab. I didn't want that sort of danger, because it meant that you could go over your tab and they'd say to you, I know, it's all right, and pay me tomorrow, That's the same as most drug dealers work, I think. Give you the stuff now and you pay later. And then when later comes, you want more stuff, but you have to pay for the stuff that you've already had. And consequences to that, my point is that there's some things that you're going to be able to continue on, right? There's some parts of your social relationships that you're going to be able to continue to do, and there's other parts that you're not going to be able to continue to do, right? It's as simple as that, I continued going to pubs and watching the football, for instance, but I didn't go to pubs anymore and just sit there having conversations with people at the bar when I was drinking, because the simple reason, the other person was getting drunk and I wasn't, right? And not that I care what they're doing to their bodies. It's none of my business what they do, what they put into their bodies. But the conversation would go somewhere where I didn't want it to go, I was a sober person and I'm not drinking and they're drinking, so it's just the way it is. The connection sort of dissipates. The connection gets wider and wider, and somebody under the influence of alcohol is going to find funny. Somebody who's not under the influence of alcohol is not going to find funny, right? At the end of the day, you're the one that's responsibility for changing your own life. You're the author of your own life story. You're the author of what you do every single day. Say about planning and stuff, if you want to live a good life, you have to sort of plan the things that you want to do, Otherwise, the things that you want to do get lost in the craziness of life, because it's very easy just to get off track, even when you've got good plans and stuff. But a lot of your friends are going to try and convince you to go back onto the drinking. What are you doing? You fool. Come back and have a pint. Sure, there's nothing wrong with an old pint, is there? There's everything wrong with a fucking pint. That's the reason why you stop doing it in the first place. Is the reason why I stopped doing it is because there's everything wrong with drinking a pint. Albert Einstein said that you can't solve a problem with the same thinking that caused it. And it's the same thing that goes with your environment. You cannot solve a problem in the environments that caused it. You can't solve a problem with the same bullshit mentality that caused it. You can't solve a problem in your life with still hanging around with the same people that caused it. Do you understand? It's not. You've got to change certain things in your life. There's some things that are harder to let go than other things. There's some things that you'll find much more difficult to part with. But there's certain things that, in order to move forwards in life, you've got to part with. It's like having a kid with the soother. I don't know what you call it. The pacifier where they have the dummy in the mouth. At a certain time in a child's life, he's got to get rid of the dummy, because if he doesn't, it's just going to look wrong. You can't move forwards without doing this. There's certain times in a child's life when they have to get rid of the nappy. They've got to get out of the pushchair and walk on their own 2 feet. It's the same thing with this. In order to get rid of the alcohol out of your life, you've got to get rid of certain other things in your life, and that's just about it. What's the end result to all this? I'm 4 years into this now, and I feel like I've got fewer friends in my life. My social life has contracted, but I'm far happier. Why? Because the friends that I've got I do so many different things with. We do different things together. My old friends, we used to just drink. That was our thing. I did things with these other, one of my buddies, we used to, we've gone to several different places. We went to Prague one Christmas. We travelled around a bit, but it was always involved around drinking. I remember going to Prague with this guy, and my abiding memory of the whole thing was walking behind this guy while we were going from one pub to another, following the leader. It was like, fuck, sat in one pub and having a few drinks, and then, when you're with sober people, you make better connections, you're more connected. There's nothing there that's sort of distancing yourself. When you're with drunken people, you can tell, I have a conversation with a drunken person, and it's one-sided conversation. It's unless you've actually done it and been there and come out the other side, and what the opposite effect is. When you're talking to sober people, it's you have to have something you want to talk about for a start, and you have to have things that you want to connect with other people with. But and that's difficult in the beginning, because you're used to doing things in a certain way. You're used to doing things under the influence of alcohol, period. And it's difficult to push your mind in another direction, It's difficult to open yourself up to people in that way, to the stark reality of life. But again, it all comes down to how you do this, and how you think about this. You have to think about it positively, Once you allow negativities to slip into these things, into your social relationships and your social life in general, then it's very easy to slip back into that old style of doing things, because it's an easy thing to do. It's easy to step back into that and to go, well, my life was so much simpler with alcohol, so I don't want a simple life. I don't want that kind of life. My life was boring. When you talk about boredom, being without alcohol, my life was just boring all the time with alcohol, because I was doing the same thing, talking to the same people about the same shite. And most of the time you're basically talking to yourself. You might as well be talking to a brick wall. So, is your social life going to change after you quit drinking alcohol? All I can wish you is that I hope it does change for you, because if it does change, it will change for the better. When you're sociable with people without drugs, right? When you're not taking a drug, it's a much more social experience. It's a much more rewarding and fulfilling experience, and you get a lot more out of your relationships when you're not drinking. Do I think that every person that you socialize with has to be a teetotaler or not drink? No. that's my life choice, is not to drink and not to put the stuff into my body, because I know the effects that it's had on me. End of story. I do care about my friends, and I wish that they didn't do this to themselves. I wish that my partner didn't do this, or my son didn't drink any alcohol. I like to think that I'm sort of a calming influence on people, that they don't drink as much around me as they would have done normally, right? I just like to think that, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I feel that my relationships in general, whether within my own family or outside of my family, have improved greatly. Mostly because of my perspective on things, mostly because I want them to improve, and I put a lot more of my own time and effort into the relationships than I would have done before. As I say, alcohol is a very selfish thing to do. Drinking alcohol is a selfish thing to do, because the more you drink, the more you get into it, and the more you get into yourself. End of story. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found something of use in this video. If you have any comments at all, leave them down below. Any questions or any suggestions about videos that you'd like to see, come on over to the website. With a whole load of stuff over there, that if you're trying to quit drinking, or if you're going through the process of changing your lifestyle, there's a lot of different stuff over there. We've got a lot of different courses. We're going to be doing a whole pile of different courses on a lot of different subjects this year. Just step-by-step stuff, and how to bring you through these things from my perspective. I hope that helps you. If you're finding help with these videos, you'll definitely find help with these, because they're a lot more channeled towards and focused towards trying to change your mind and change your focus and change your outlook. We've got the daily newsletter. We've also got a Facebook group. So there's a lot of stuff, and a lot of plans for this year to add more stuff, more helpful information and projects. So yeah, until next time, I'm Kevin O'Hara for Alcohol Mastery. Stay safe, keep the alcohol out of your mouth, and onwards and upwards. Take care of yourself. Bye now.